Let's start here today on the 540. So I put a couple hours in a pretty solid detail. This is the first one that I had done myself. When the car came in initially all covered with desert dirt, my dad and Mike took it over to the local wash bay and used their pressure washer, car wash station, and soap and all that. And that got the majority of it, but it's the fine tuning and the details here that I like to get carried away with, as you well know. So today was really the first time that I got to go around it with my bottle of Elite Finish wash mist and some towels, and I did the glass in and out. I had already done the inside, but not like a thorough nice job. Put the window down and get the little part that seals up there type cleaning, so that got done today. And then with the parcel shelf in and out a few times, and more recently the PDC retrofit, I had a bunch of greasy hair marks up on the glass from working back there. So all of that's clean. I hate cleaning the inside of glass, especially the front and rear windshields, but nice improvement. Paint quality, I mean, it's a 20-foot car. All the flat surfaces have been painted, and it's really quite poor. Not only in terms of color matching, it's not horrible for color matching, but certainly could be better. It's the finish. It's just hazy. It's dull. There's like texture in it. It's never going to focus, I don't think, with this camera. I'll kind of just not very good. Same deal with the roof and same deal with the trunk lid. Obviously it was all done at once. And this trunk lid's not original to the car. I don't know why. The VIN sticker back there decodes to another Sterling 540, but an automatic. So something happened there at one point. But there's a bunch of junk behind the taillights. I can see it sticking out down here. So I've ordered new taillight gaskets. I need those to be waterproof, and they're cheap. So they come in Monday. I'll pull the taillights out and clean the buckets out really well, clean the lights up and get those back in. Interior vacuum, wheel detail. I'm wishing that I had refinished the wheels now. When I did the tires, it's fine. We'll just do it next time. Or if the car's stuck on a lift for a week, then I'll have time to pull these off, and they'd be back in 2 days, and 17s don't cost that much to refinish. It's really the rear right that's the worst, and it's pretty obvious that somebody didn't take care of the car from a cleanliness standpoint and left a lot of brake dust on the wheels, which is eating through that. Dug some tire shine out, got that on there. But the big two improvements to the car today are mechanical. So I have a customer that has a bunch of Dynon parts on a 530, and they don't want them. They want the car to be stock. So he told me, if you find anybody that would trade stock parts for the Dynon parts, let's swap. So, well, I've got the sway bar now, and I'm really happy with that. That's made a pretty noticeable, tremendous, dramatic difference actually with the rear. So Sport Package E39s come with a 15mm rear sway bar. Non-sport package cars used a 13, and the Dynon is adjustable, and it's a 17. And I've got it adjusted in the middle setting. I don't want anything too crazy. But it's removed a lot of just the body roll when handling, going around corners, take the steering wheel at 40 and do this a few times. It's just really flattened the car out. And it's no M5. It's not going to be. It's not supposed to be. I didn't put M5 struts on here for a reason. They're 6 times the cost. So with this suspension setup, I think that's just going to be perfect. Then, well, it was on this lift where now an E30 is, for some reason, my dad's friends, they're doing a transmission removal or something this weekend. Thing's a mess, but hopefully it's less of a mess after the transmission's fixed. Over here in this junk heap, sticking out of the side, I saw the M5 rear chassis braces. And I know I said I wasn't going to put M5 parts on there. Well, I'm not going to buy M5 parts to put on there, but I've had them here for years, and I didn't sell them because one of them was slightly bent, and I didn't have the equipment to unbend it because it was right at the angle, 90-degree angle weld, which is a pretty strong point in that piece. Well, I had some time today, so I took them out, took them over to the shop press, got them perfectly straight, put them on the car, and a couple other items need to change. So they sandwich at the center exhaust brace, which this is an E60 setup, but the front end would go right here through those holes. So obviously then those bolts need to get longer. I had those in inventory in perfect shape, so that was no problem. Then where they come back and attach to the front of the rear subframe mounts, you need a longer bolt there, but more importantly, you need a different little triangular shaped piece of plastic trim. And I figured that I would not have these because those are parts that are NLA. They were expensive last time they were available, and they're kind of commonly broken because they're hollow. And those are the ones I took off right here. So I went up there, and I actually have 2 sets of them. So I took one of those sets, cleaned it up really well, no cracks, and put those on. So that's all it takes. In about an hour, direct bolt-on installation for a 540 because it more or less shares the same rear subframe as an M5. And the difference I noticed there is just going over speed bumps, in and out of parking lots, over driveways and entrances. The rear of the car just feels a lot more stable and planted, and as it should. We're adding a fifth and sixth connection point for the rear subframe to the chassis, and it just allows for less flex and roll, and it's just flex, and that's a well worth upgrade on a 540. So couldn't be much happier with how that's turned out today. It's driving much better, and that's good news. The car that we did timing chains and guides on that had that Vanos oiling pump failure on bank 2, that was on the lift earlier today. We did the last oil change. We ran that break-in oil, the cheap break-in 530 oil for a while. Now it's got the proper, it's not Castrol because that's extremely expensive and difficult to get right now, but Liqui-Moly, what is it, GT Race Tech, GT1, something like that, 1060 in it. And we pulled the lower oil pan again and the pickup screen, cleaned out a couple small pieces of debris from the oil pump failure that just were floating around in the engine, I guess, and running. It allowed that to fall out into the pan, and cleaned out the pickup screen and changed the filter in the oil. So this car is done. We're waiting to collect payment on it, which should be next week. Then we'll be able to talk with the customer and decide, does he want to proceed with the whole reason it was supposed to come in here? The Vanos issue was totally separate. We've taken care of that. Now, does he want to do the suspension, interior trims, window gaskets, wheel refinishing, headlights, kind of all the normal restoration stuff? Or maybe he wants to take it and drive it for a little bit. I don't know. But he came in today, is super happy to hear it running and sounding so good. But nice update there. Then 02 530. Got this up in the air today, and we've got engine work to do, but the battery's cooked, so we need to replace that before we dig into the engine too far. Kind of rear suspension day. So fender liners come out, rear struts come out. I had not noted this. He declined the MPI, so we didn't, have a full report of what the car was coming in, but it had conies in it, which are totally blown. And then it's got these Dynon lowering springs on it, which when you take them off the conies and or install them back on factory sack struts, you do not even have to use a spring compressor. They're so much shorter, you just put them in there and they are not tight. I have these top nuts just threaded on. I don't want to torque them down yet because then I'll have to replace them should he decide to go back to the factory struts. So I'm waiting, or springs. So I'm waiting to hear from him. They're assembled right now. You just have to torque down those top nuts if he wants to keep the lowering springs. My guess is he will not. So these may be available soon, and I'm pretty sure I know somebody who's going to send me an email on that. I don't think they're 530 specific. These should be for any E39, including the M5. I'd have to do some part number cross-referencing to verify that, but that's the belief. So front struts are going to be done too. We've got the hardware here and top mounts, bump stops, all the normal stuff. That's going to keep us busy in the beginning part of next week anyhow. He wants this Dynon muffler gone too. So anybody wants to trade a stock 530 muffler, or probably the 540 muffler is the same, for a Dynon rear muffler, we'll be interested in that. And maybe the springs. I mean, I might have another front set available, assuming, yeah, same deal. So Dynon springs and conies, and to be honest, I hadn't even noticed this before. We didn't really do suspension work on this car. It was more focused on interior and engine, and the struts are so dirty. They clean up beautifully, but they're just covered in dirt right now, so I can't even tell that they're blue. 750 is scheduled to be picked up on Wednesday. The owner's going to take it up to the transmission shop, drop that off personally. It's 100 miles from here, and it's on his way home. Transmission shop will continue with the diagnosis and repair of the transmission. It's their problem, it's their transmission, and there is a warranty on it. So it'll be nice to get that space back. Over here, I've got the weirdest issue in the world with headlights. I do not understand what's going on. This is the 2000 Carbon Black. They worked fine. Customer requested I take them out to fix the ballast installation. I did that on the bench. I put them back in, and now the driver's side low beam does not work. So I tried another ballast. The other ballast worked without installing it in the headlight. I just plugged it into the electrical connector and another xenon bulb, and it worked. So I took the light out, put the replacement ballast in. After getting that job and cost approved by the customer, put it back in the car, still doesn't work. So it's like, what the hell? So I checked the voltage. We got 12.8 or 12.4 volts on the left light, 12.4 volts on the right light. It's not a voltage problem. We have a strong continuity to ground. So I took it out. I put another ballast in. That ballast worked. I installed that in the headlight. I put the headlight back in the car. Boom, doesn't work again. So what about installing the headlight in the car makes it not work again? I'm just beside myself here. With the ballast plugged in loosely just up on top of the core support, I'm able to take the wire, twist it, kink it, pinch it, do anything you want to it, and it's absolutely fine. And of course, I'm being careful. That's like 20,000 volts or something crazy after the ballast, or at least when it fires the xenon bulb. I don't think that's constant. It's something about installing the ballast on the light makes it not work anymore. And it's not grounded to the light. It's grounded independently of something internal to the light. And it worked before, so I don't understand. I really don't get it. It's driving me nuts. I even tried a different D2S xenon bulb. Here's the other two ballasts. And the one that's in there that works if it's not installed in the light is a brand new Hella ballast, like within the last 2 years. So if you have any insight for me there, let me know. Yesterday I got the Shark installed on this car, so that's done, and I got the shift knob in. That's looking nice and pretty. The original one is up there on the dash if he wants to keep the wood. I think the wood is about twice the price of the leather one now, if it's still available. But next we've got to get to those ABC pillars, headliner and parcel shelf, and get those down to the sublet like I mentioned before. So I'm clocking out of here. It is 7:15 on Friday, very dark outside. I'm gonna go home, hang out with Larissa at the house, make some food, and if I can catch the tail end of the Lakers game, I'll get to see them lose a 5th win in a row. All right, hope you guys had a good week. We'll talk tomorrow on Saturday. Good night.